Alright everybody, if we can all take our seats, we're about to get started. So thank you everybody for coming to the press conference. To kick things off, our first project is ATK. So if everyone would please join me in welcoming the ATK.
Alright everybody, thank you very much for coming out tonight, giving us your attention. Hopefully your community was well. So we are the A-Team. My name is James.
I'm Pavan.
I'm Evelyn.
I'm Stanley.
I'm Alexandra.
And we were fortunate enough to work with the A-Team, ATK this semester. Just a quick disclaimer, we are under NDA, so the numbers that you see in this presentation aren't the exact measures, but they are representative of the magnitude of our findings. So, in a nutshell, ATK is a defense company. They sell rockets, bullets, missiles. In regards to our project, we're going to focus on three major components of this company. First, ATK is a publicly traded company with stock, so they have to provide investor guidance and report its financials to the public, so individuals like you and I can easily access this information. Secondly, being a seller of defense material, ATK operates and makes money by having contracts with various clients. Last, ATK has to forecast their cash on a monthly and quarterly basis to help with their planning for the future and their operations. So what exactly is cash forecasting? So at the beginning of each month and quarter, ATK is going to have to predict its cash inflow and outflow, represented by the green bars, so the company can plan accordingly with its projects. At the end of these periods, ATK is able to see and report the actual numbers, represented by the blue bars, and observe the difference with its forecast. The difference between these two numbers is going to represent the company's cash variance. Now, with proper forecast, ATK is going to be able to know how much cash is on hand and how to utilize it properly. However, with large variance, it's going to be detrimental to the company due to allocation of resources, poor inventory and project management, and providing inaccurate investor guidance and tough estimates of fees. So, the A-Team was brought in with the sole objective of reduced cash forecasting variance. This graph represents the company's current state of their cash forecasting. As you can see, there is some variance between the two quarters. With our solution and research, ATK is going to be able to better forecast their cash and reduce this variance. So variance can be segmented into two different pools, early payments and late payments. So for example, if I forecast cash is going to come in April, but it actually comes in at March, that's going to be an early payment variance. On the other hand, if I forecast cash is going to come in April, but it actually comes in May, then that's late payment variance. So one step that the team did was identify that a large component of the variance that the company was incurring was due to these late payments, which causes the majority of the problems.
So one other problem that cash flow forecasting variance causes has to do with the general stock price. Public companies such as ATK have to report earnings on a quarterly basis and then reveal financial information about themselves. This is information that you and I can access as public investors. A problem that occurs is if ATK misses their cash forecast by a large amount, we can see that. And people such as hedge funds, pension funds, research analysts, consultants might have inaccurate impressions as to what the missile industry or rocket industry or aerospace or defense industry is generally going through. And if ATK comes in with significantly less cash, the stock price can fall, and that's an inappropriate signal for industry demand. And this is a problem for CEOs and CFOs for two reasons. One, they have a legal obligation to provide accurate guidance to investors, but also two, some of their end-of-year compensation can be tied to stock bonuses. And they would hate to lose millions of dollars of compensation in a single day. So how do we go about solving this overall problem? And the A-Team has a solution which basically refers to an Excel model. And we've isolated three variables that help segment clients into three different groups. Clients who pay early, on time, and late. So using the historical average number of days it takes each client to pay, the standard deviation of these payments, and the time. From there, we can do is segment them, and if the client is invoiced in month end, for example, we can tell ATK or any company that the client will actually pay in month end plus 1 or month end plus 2. And this is beneficial from the perspective that a lot of the industry, cash flow forecasting industry in general, is a lot more, a soft skill set. They use general averages and client relationships. And if you backtest this variance or backtest our model, you see that the variance actually drops from about 28% to 17%. The other benefit of our solution is the synergies from using business and engineering mindsets. And we feel that this is really a capstone of the Quest program in general. As I just talked about before, a lot of the cash flow forecasting industry has two things that go to it. One is the general averages, and two is the client relationship set. So sometimes companies will say to the client, I'll scratch your back this month, and you scratch mine next month, I'll pay you early, you pay me early. And this is a lot of the things that some contractors and business development guys look into. With our solution, we can statistically look at which clients will pay on time and rate, and potentially they can use the rest of the time to develop better client relationships with the other clients.
So how did we come about our final solution? Well, for our methodology, we mapped out a 4-stage plan so that we could build the strongest set of recommendations possible. In the first stage, a bulk of our research revolved around gathering information about the general industry. So for primary research, we conducted a lot of interviews with both UMD and Quest alumni within the aerospace and defense industry. Next, we did secondary research, which involved analyzing case studies. And then we also looked at ATK's current cash flow forecasting models. After that, we were able to transition to the second stage, where we isolated key variables that we thought were important for a good cash flow forecasting model. In addition, we also received ATK's past billing historical data, which meant that we were able to look at all the invoices and receipts of all of ATK's past clients. From there, we were able to develop our own model and back-test it for statistical significance. That meant applying our model to ATK's top clients' billing history and measuring the reduction in variance between our model and ATK's current models. Ultimately, after several iterations of backtesting and revising our model, we were able to finally arrive at our final solution for ATK. In addition to this final solution, we also delivered a number of documents to ATK throughout this 4-month process. This was very important, not because of the way it organized all the information that we gathered into a concise and clear manner, but it also provided ATK insight as to what was going on.
So, to produce our deliverables, we had to conduct industry analysis to get a better understanding of the environment that a client operates in. So we had 31 interviews with 21 professionals across 13 companies. Most of these professionals being UMD and Quest alumni. So through these interviews, we gained a better understanding of how contract structures work and a glimpse into how other companies do their cash forecasting. Something that we noticed was that most of these companies didn't speak about statistical significance. They kind of talked about having strong client relationships or using general historical averages. So we thought statistical significance would be an interesting area that we can look into and something that has potential. So moving forward, some next potential steps include creating an incentive structure, implementing new software, and organizing an internal survey. So this incentive structure will really encourage early and on-time payments, while the new software will assist with the cash forecasting process, and the internal survey will be geared towards ATK professionals with prior industry experience. We really believe these next steps can really strengthen their cash forecasting methodology and help reduce their cash flow complaints.
So as we all know, engineers and business aspects and teams have different mentalities. They have different mindsets. So cash forecasting has always been described as more of an art than a science. It's not 100% accurate, and engineers care more about statistical significance. So how are we going to prevent this problem from arising when we deliver our solution that incorporates statistical significance in cash forecasting, which isn't something that's typical, that finance teams aren't usually aware of? So we believe that providing training would be the best solution, because this way all employees would be aware of the advantages of the new, of our suggestion, and also...
The answer to that question is yes. One of the things we absolutely look for in a model is the standard deviation of, the client's various payments throughout time. And so as clients pay more late or more early or more on time, their kind of standard deviation will change, and that input in the model will also change because of different Z-score providing different statistical significance so that financial analysts can better forecast that particular thing. I think we have time for one more question. Mina in the back?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of just a comment, but it's really, one thing that's really neat about your project is that the paradigm right now for cash forecasting is, like you said, you explained it really well, is like an art. And so I just really want to applaud you and your team for basically saying, hey, you can also include a statistical model, and here it is. So really great job. That's really that could be a paradigm shift for how companies, for how your client and how other companies do this. So great job.
Thanks.